Day 28, welcome back to our Thankful for 30 challenge. And today we are going to dive right into what has become kind of a favorite topic of mine, likely because I was the most guilty of this for the longest time. And even now I tend to struggle with it from time to time, but I'm way better about catching myself when I do it these days. And that is eliminating negative self-talk.
I know it's nothing new, but it's so good to see you.
So this is obviously something that is much easier said than done, right? We tend to kind of default to negative self-talk, to tearing ourselves apart whenever we've done something wrong, or we make a silly mistake, or maybe it's a big mistake, or maybe you've hurt someone's feelings, or maybe anger got the best of you and you said something that you shouldn't have, or whatever that might be. And we end up kind of tearing ourselves apart, and really that negative self-talk really lays it in, okay? That is what we're going to work on eliminating. And you might be like, okay, yeah, that would be nice. In a perfect world, I would stop. How do I actually do that? And so the way that I do that, I'm just going to share, as always, just some things that work for me in hopes that maybe they will also work for you. And one of the main ways that I have gone about eliminating the negative self-talk, or lessening it, at least, that's where I started out, as I just lessened it. I will say it probably will never be truly eliminated, but that can always be the goal, right? And one of the best ways, though, that I have started out doing this is truly by doing more things that bring me joy. Now you might be like, how does that have anything to do with each other? But hang with me. When I do more things that bring me joy, I'm in a better headspace. When I'm in a better headspace, I'm less likely to talk negative to others or to myself because I'm in a better mood. The majority of the time when I'm talking most negatively to myself is when I am not in a good mood, when I am struggling, when I am, not feeling accomplished, not feeling productive, not feeling like I'm fulfilled or serving like I should be, right? And so in those moments, I'm at my weakest because I'm feeling like I'm lacking. And so then that's when the negative words, that's when the tearing myself apart starts to happen, okay? Another way, and we've talked about this in a former video within this series, is really working on more time management. When I am managing my time better, when I'm being mindful, I know we talked about mindfulness yesterday, but when I'm being mindful of my time, when I'm being intentional, when I'm using my planner and I'm actually planning out the things that I want to get accomplished, and I know what I want to get accomplished because I make a monthly vision board, which we talk all about here on this channel. But when I make that monthly vision board, I'm clear on what I want to achieve that month. So when it comes down to planning out my weeks, planning out my days, I pull out that monthly vision board, or I like to leave mine just up on a whiteboard right here above my desk. And I look at that and I'm like, okay, what are we working towards? So that I'm super clear on what it is that I'm working towards. And that way I can be super clear on what needs to happen this week. I can be super clear on what needs to happen today. And then I can be even more clear and intentional with the time that it's going to take to actually achieve those things. When I am being productive, when I am actually achieving or making strides towards the goals that I set for myself, I'm feeling more confident, I'm feeling more proud of myself, I'm feeling better overall. And when those things are the case, I am not being as negative towards others, or more specifically, myself. And that's the goal. We don't want to be negative. We don't want to tear ourselves apart. We don't want to put that out into the world. There's enough negativity out there, right? And it's hard enough living in this body of ours, right? I don't know about you, but I am someone who has struggled with negative self-talk for as long as I can possibly remember. And it breaks my heart because it's like, when did that start? I watch my niece, who's 2.5 years old, almost 3 at this point, and I don't see her doing that. And I've been subbing a lot lately, and I sub with preschool, and I've subbed all the way up to high school. And you can definitely tell there are some kids that are tearing themselves apart more than others. It's like, when did that set in, and why, and how can we potentially avoid that, or teach kids from a young age to not start that? How cool would it be to have not started that in the first place and instead be more gracious and more thankful for the life that we have? Give ourselves that grace. Give ourselves the fact that we aren't perfect, and therefore there's no need to tear ourselves up because we made a mistake, and mistakes are going to happen, period, right? So that is my biggest tip for you, is really just to, first of all, you have to acknowledge it. If you're not even acknowledging the fact that you are talking negatively to yourself, you've got to start there. You've got to start there. You may not even realize how badly you're speaking to yourself. I know that we've all heard the phrase of if you said to others what you say to yourself, Would you be okay with that? Would you talk to others that way? And I know for sure I would never. And so that's such an eye-opening thing of like, if you wouldn't say it to others, why are we saying it to ourselves? How rude of us to say that to ourselves. And sometimes it's like, well, we know what we can handle and blah, blah, blah. But if someone else were to say the things that I say to myself to me, I would be heartbroken. Absolutely heartbroken. I would be so upset. I would be so offended. I would be just hurt. So why do I think it's okay for me to do that to myself? And I definitely don't feel thankful for life when I'm chewing myself out, right? So we've got to acknowledge it. We have to acknowledge that we're doing it in the first place. Then when we do it, we've got to immediately nip that in the bud, right? So when we feel ourselves being like, oh my gosh, that was so dumb, or I cannot believe you made that mistake, or that was so mean, or what are you thinking? Like, no, hold on. I'm human. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect, nor will I ever be. How can I correct this? How can I make this better? How can I move forward? How can I not make this mistake again, right? Those are the kinds of things that after we've acknowledged it, then we catch ourselves doing it, we can start asking and working through those things. You're not all of a sudden going to just stop having negative self-talk. It's going to continue to be a work in progress, but you are worth that process that it will take for you to get there. You are, but you have to be willing to acknowledge, address it, and then create some systems that are going to avoid going back to those places, which is where that time management piece comes in, and just being mindful of the things that you are saying to yourself. You know, maybe the next time you do something really good, you literally cheer yourself up inside. Like you're like, heck yeah, we did that. Let's go. You know, I know like when I finish a workout or I hold a move that's a really tough move, or like a plank, or do a certain amount of push-ups or whatever, I'm like, yes, like I did that. Let's go. You know, that has to come. And that's something I do now that I didn't used to do. I would let the good things slide away and wouldn't even acknowledge them, but I would tear myself apart to no end if I did something wrong. Well, now I definitely have way more of a balance. I cheer myself on way more now, and I therefore tear myself down way, way less. But it's because I've been super intentional with that, and I had to first acknowledge it, then I had to address it and kind of figure out how do I change that. And I got more clear with my time, making a plan, and just being mindful of how I could better talk to myself in a way that I would talk to others, in a way that I would cheer others on. And I started applying that to myself, and I promise you, life is better that way. You are so much more thankful for everything. You're thankful for the mistakes. You're thankful that you did it wrong so that you can figure out how to do it right. You know, I heard, where was this? I think it was actually this morning in the Monday, I guess it was yesterday morning in the Monday Fire that I have with our membership with Brendan Burchard. And he talked about how when you achieve things, when you're productive and you achieve things and you feel proud of yourself, that feels so much better than when something is just given to you. And so in that same kind of concept, it's with the same thing. If you work through that negative self-talk, if you address it and you figure out how you can better talk to yourself, it's going to feel so much better, and you're going to feel so much more thankful that you took the time to work through all of that than if it just were easy enough to flip a switch and all of a sudden you're done talking negatively to yourself. You didn't learn anything from that. That came too easy. The journey in life is about the process. It's about the struggles and then the wins and then the struggling again, but then the overcoming of that, because you're learning along the way. The growth is happening, and that's how we see the success. The success is measured by how far you've come, not just by whatever the end product is. And I think that that's just such a neat thing and something that we could absolutely apply to this concept. So this is my challenge to you, to really, really work on that negative self-talk. It's going to take some time, but I promise you it's going to be so worth it. And it is a vital part of being thankful for the life that you live. All right. See you tomorrow.